Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you both for being here today. Thank you to the chair and the ranking member for convening this hearing. Mr. Escobar, I wanted to ask you about the current role of the High Representative in Bosnia. You served in the OHR office back in the 1990s. This is a position that does have the authority to impose binding decisions, although the use of that tool is relatively rare. I met with a group of Bosnian Americans in Connecticut earlier this week who were asking questions about why we don't press harder on the High Representative to step in and be more forceful in some of these developments inside Bosnia as the country threatens disintegration. It doesn't seem like it makes much sense for the High Representative to stand on the sidelines. What's our current position as to the role of the High Representative? Do we think that the High Representative can be more forceful than the position has been? I understand the Russians' position here that they want the whole thing to go away. But what's the role here to try to solve the ongoing stalemate in Bosnia?
Well, I think, first of all, that it should be clear that the High Representative is just one of the tools that the international community has to exert influence in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Now, we strongly support the High Representative and his role as a mediator. I understand the concern of people who would like to see imposed solutions, but imposed solutions are not a democratic answer to democratic challenges. So we hope to be able to partner with European-minded, democratically focused political parties and leaders to be able to resolve for themselves the problems of their own country. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't support the bond powers of the High Representative, but we think that is a last resort, a nuclear resort, and one which then puts the onus on the international community to implement. We think that that the political system and the political leaders, most of the political leaders of Bosnia and Herzegovina, are mature enough and democratically focused enough to be able to resolve the differences through their own processes, and that's the way it should be.
I don't mind referring to it as a last resort. I maybe wish we didn't refer to it as a nuclear resort. This is a legitimate power of the High Representative. Understand the difficulty in imposing it. But if the choice eventually becomes the disintegration of the country and the region into civil war versus a difficult decision made by the High Representative, I think we'll have to carefully weigh the equities on both sides. Wanted to turn to the...
Well, if I can,
sure.
Senator, on that issue. First of all, I don't see... this situation is not analogous to 1991. We have a European peacekeeping force. We have a High Representative. Neither Croatia nor Serbia are interested in seeing a war on their borders. We have a NATO presence. So there are a lot of checks and balances to prevent conflict. So the fundamental issue is that the High Representative is and always has been on a path to being phased out after certain conditions are met. We want to make sure that those conditions are met. So we don't see the situation as destabilizing as some of the most drastic commentators see it.
Okay. I agree with you that so long as the impression remains that the path to the EU is difficult and rocky, it is really hard to press our friends in the region to continue reform. And it is not coincidental that you have seen the doors shutting to the EU at the same time that we've seen democratic backsliding in the region. And so let me ask you about the news last month that there will be a renewed discussion between Bulgaria and North Macedonia. That was welcome. It's been a year or more since Bulgaria vetoed the ability for talks between North Macedonia and Europe to continue. Do you see hope that those talks can bear fruit? And what leverage is there for the United States with Bulgaria? To me, this is a disaster if we can't show progress towards Europe, and why on earth we would let one country stand in the way. What more can the United States what more can we be doing? what hopes do you have for these discussions with two new leaders?
Well, both Bulgaria and North Macedonia are valued NATO allies. And so it's always been our hope that they can resolve their differences through constructive dialogue and good faith negotiation. And both of these new governments have given us assurances that that is happening. And so we support that, and we hope that that can come to a conclusion within a reasonable period.
That's fine. That's a very diplomatic answer, but these discussions are not going to come to a conclusion unless the United States plays an active role and unless we make clear to the Bulgarians that it is in their interest as a Balkan nation to make sure that there is a path into the European Union. So I appreciate the answer, but I will still press for increased U.S. involvement at the highest level to try to resolve this, given that we have an opportunity to do it with new leadership. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Murphy. We have Senator Van Hollen